Greetings, Chris Fiola here with a kickoff to a new series, Do-It-Yourself Compact Camera. Now, if you've been paying any attention to the photo market lately, the hot cameras of the day are extraordinarily expensive digicams that slip into your pocket or sort of slip into your pocket or slip into your pocket if you're wearing a parka and your actual pocket is a backpack.
Tell me you're hugging up a big cameraman. I never heard you, I only saw you hugging up the big cameraman. I never heard you, I only saw you hugging up the big cameraman.
So it's kind of interesting how those things float around definition-wise. But the famous ones of those are the Fuji 100, which is coming out in its newest iteration, and that's been on just back order. It's unobtainium. It's an $1,800, I want to say, APS-C compact camera that does not really fit into your pocket. The really high-end ones are the Leica Q3, which is a $6,000 fixed lens compact camera, full frame. The Sony that just came out, which is $5,000. I'll put links to all these below if you're interested in the specs and that. And Ricoh Pentax has just shipped a $1,500 version of their GR series. The GR4 also has an APS-C sensor. It does not have a viewfinder, which for me is just a deal breaker. And it has it is small enough to slip in your pocket. Of all of these, this is the one that will fit in your pocket. It's a marvel of engineering, but it's a lot of money for a camera. You know, I guess I can excuse when I used to buy those old $300 and $400 Panasonic Lumix digicams that slipped into your pocket that it didn't have a viewfinder. I wasn't happy with it. But a $1,500 camera without a viewfinder is it's just not for me. Not for me. Anyway, I probably am getting one to review, and I'll review it for 2 weeks, and I'm sure I'll love the output. But I know what happens with all of these. Even cameras that I've really tried to love, like the Pentax Q series, those tiny jewel-like cameras with those gorgeous optics, didn't have a viewfinder, and after a while I just gave up on it. So what do I mean by how can you build your own compact camera? And the answer is that a whole lot of really impressive camera technology is getting stuffed into smartphones these days. Now I know what you're thinking, Fiola, everybody takes photos with smartphones. That's not new, and it's not a compact camera. Well, yes, there's two things with that. A very interesting thing has happened. The camera market has kind of bifurcated. In the States, everything that you get is very heavily into computational photography. There's a really interesting pushback in the photography community right now against the iPhone 17. Apple claims that it has, I believe, 8x zoom, which is 4x optical, and then 4x fusion, which is a combination of AI, artifacting, slipping in extra image pieces, and it's still crop digital. It's any way you look at it, at the end of the day, it's digital cropping. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want, if you just want to casually take snaps and you want them to come out as best as possible for when you post them on Instagram and share them with your friends and family, that's great. And that's what the American market has kind of decided, and that's where pretty much all you can get here. You know, Apple, Samsung, that's where it is. The Asian market, however, has gone kind of nuts in the other direction. Especially the Chinese companies are doing partnerships with Leica, partnerships with Hasselblad, all sorts of crazy, interesting optics, bigger sensors, really old school, do-it-yourself, control everything professional style cameras. Now, there's a couple of avenues out of that. One is that you can buy an older camera and you can put some new software on it and get control of the hardware, and you can put accessories on it. So you can build yourself a digicam that's Maybe not as good as as a $6,000 Leica camera, but if it's a couple $100, maybe that's the maybe that's the right path. Certainly is for me. So I'm going to show you a couple things here real quick, and then in the ensuing weeks we're going to take a look at some of these things and how they work. The first thing that you can do is that you can buy an old camera that was designed to be converted into a digicam, or actually to be a compact camera, as it were. Here's the Motorola Z3, which doesn't look like much. It was a mid-range, not that exciting phone for the time. What was exciting was this adapter on the back here, which allowed you to put different kinds of things to it, including, interestingly, one from Hasselblad. Now notice, and what you're going to see me saying over and over again, one of the things it has to have is it has to have a shutter button. I think whatever you're going to do, if you're going to build your own compact camera, you need to have a shutter button on it. So see if we can get this to wake up. Yep, zoom lens. So Feola, why didn't you stick with this one? I'm a wide angle guy, and this was kind of like semi-normal, semi-wide to telephoto. The telephoto end was pretty interesting and pretty decent, but not really, not spectacular. It had a fairly small sensor in it for an add-on, but it's an interesting thing, and you could probably pick up for not a whole bunch of money these days. This one was my main compact camera for years. This is the Sony Xperia Pro I for imaging. It has a 1-inch type sensor, which means that it is a 1-inch sensor, but they didn't use the whole thing. It's basically like a 1 to 1.3 size lens, which I'm bringing up because this will come back up later. And it has a good, solid press halfway to focus shutter button on the top, and it has that fabulous Sony eye recognition autofocus on it. It's just the autofocus on that thing is spectacular. The burst rates are crazy. It shot 4K at up to 120 frames per second. Nuts. Here's a really interesting camera, and one of the ones that I'm actively using now. This is the Huawei P9, and yes, that says Leica on the top there. Probably doubt you can read it on the video. This one not only has 2 Leica cameras in it, 12 megapixel, but one of them is a monochrome. To my knowledge, this is the only smartphone that ever have a monochrome sensor, and hardly anything has a monochrome sensor in it. And I've gone on and on about the joys of monochrome sensors. But the other part here that I want to show you is this cost me $25. It's a Ulanzi, bought it on Amazon, grip. It communicates via Bluetooth. It has a little fill light in here. It has a cold shoe. But the big thing is it has a grip. You can put a wrist strap, a neck strap on it, and a Bluetooth shutter there. It's not as good as a dedicated shutter button, but if you don't have one, you don't have one, and this adds it. Works very nicely. Recommend it, especially for 25 bucks. Finally, there's this Leica-looking thing hanging around my neck. And you're like, hey, I see that red dot. Did you pop for a Leica, Feola? No, that red dot says retro. Yes, this is Chinese, and it's Taiwanese actually. It's from a very good computer manufacturing company called ZTE that has their own line of phones. I did not know that until I found this. When the Xperia died, I was looking for something new, and I happened to come across a few reviews of this. Not many. It's not well known in the United States, but you could buy them in the United States, and they do run great on T-Mobile. Again, I'll do an in-depth review on this. The interesting thing is that about the same time I got this, I got an email from Panasonic with their Lumix line, and they've come out with a new compact camera. It's about $675, and it has a 1 over, I think 2.3, 2.5. I don't know. I'll link it down below. Sensor and a Panasonic Leica zoom lens on it, which is all very nice for $675. This is $50 more than that, and it has a 35 millimeter primary lens. It has it's not a zoom, it has 3 lenses on it. It has a wide and a telephoto, a 13 millimeter wide, and these are all 35 millimeter equivalents, obviously, and a 70 millimeter telephoto. What do I get for the extra? What do I get for the extra $50 to $75 over the Panasonic? Oh yeah, there's an entire smartphone attached on the other side. But like the Sony Xperia, this is basically a camera with a smartphone attached to it. This is the Nubia Z70S Photographer Edition. I've also added the retro kit to it, which puts this. It's a big phone, as you can see. The photography kit adds this leatherette case, the metal top and bottom, which is really nice. There's a cold shoe that snaps into here. I'll show you when I do the full review here. The phone, one way or the other, has a very good 2-stage shutter button with it, and the retro kit also adds this great grip, and comes with this terrific convertible neck strap that you can also use as a wrist strap, which is mostly how I use it. The other interesting thing here, again, about doing it yourself, and we'll look at this in a lot of depth as we go forward, is this ring over here that's on top of, with the cutout on top of the main camera lens, which is a 1 over 1.3 sensor, which means it's a bigger sensor than you get in that Panasonic Lumix one. And this is a T-mount lens mount. And so I've gotten a few accessories that fit that T-mount. This is a 65 millimeter, these things are rather beautiful. Telephoto lens. Now, Feola, why'd you get a 65 when you have a 70 built in? Well, first, the 70 is built in, but it's not on that main very large sensor. So this gives you better that way. The second is that it comes in a kit with 2 macro add-on lenses there. So I'm really anxious to see how that will all work. And then the other thing, because I'm crazy and crazy is fun, is I got this for it. Yeah, it's a classic 135 lens. Again, it's interesting the dichotomy that's happening in photography and in smartphones between what's happening in Asia and what's happening here. These are all metal, classic glass, optical formulas. I've gotten a lot of glass out of those for different camera systems, and they've really been terrific. But we'll put these through its paces, and we'll see what their value is and how good they do. This was, I believe, $90 on sale, so fairly interesting. And yes, this is also from the retro line there by Foto.Gear, as is the case. So, everything I've gotten together for this camera still leaves me several $100s off compared to buying a Ricoh GR4, and that's the cheapest of all these things. I basically buy all this stuff and a car for the price of the Leica. All right, that's a slight exaggeration. All right, that's it for this week. Over the next few weeks, we're going to take a look at some of these in some depth and see. You really have 2 routes here, I think. One is to buy an old camera with a good setup, like this Hawaii, which I paid $200 for, or this old Motorola with its Hasselblad setup. Or you can take the camera you have now. This retro kit, for example, is available for a bunch of different phones, including, I think, the last 2 or 3 or 4 generations of iPhones. So you can add it comes with I'm not using the accessory shutter button right now because this phone has a shutter button built in, but if you have an older iPhone without a shutter button, you can get a retro kit. Adds the grip, adds the T-mount, adds all of this. So there's a lot of avenues here, and we're going to explore them. Thanks for listening. I'm Chris Feola. Have a great day.